Alright, so we're going to paint an octopus. Sorry about that eye. My daughter got a hold of it and smudged the paint before it dried. Alright, so this painting, as you can see, I've taped down. I haven't done that a lot with some of my other ones because I wasn't going to get the whole paper wet, but my plan for this one is to paint a background of the octopus in the water, and so the whole paper is going to be wet. If I don't tape it down, then it's going to bubble and buckle and warp and all sorts of stuff. So I've taped the edges. There's a video on taping, but just that's going to create a border for me when I'm done. And then we want to make sure when we're taping not to have lips or like creases in it, because the water can seep under that. So you just want to make sure that it's smooth where it meets the paper. Alright, so I started painting this octopus with red here, and you can do whatever you want. I just searched on Google for octopuses, and there was a purpley red one that I liked, so that's what I went with. I think I saw an orange one on there too. I have another painting of an octopus, I think it's on Instagram, that's more of a goldy white. So, and you can also do whatever you want. It's your painting. Make it your own. Alright. And as you can see, I've done a very light layer here, because with watercolor, we go light to dark. So we start with the light. We can always get darker. Can't get lighter very easily, especially back to pure white. Alright. So the middle of the suction cups are white, but they have edges of color. So I'm just blocking out where I want my white areas on those suction cups. And adding my blue. I use blue a lot for shading. I think I've mentioned before. I like it. It's a good shadow color. So is purple. Alright, and then those back octopus arms, legs, tentacles, up at the top, those are going to be in the background more. So they get to have a little more blue because they're in more shadow, and they won't need as much detail actually because they are not in the foreground. Alright, this octopus I was looking at was textured with these fun dots. This is the goldish color, yellow ochre. And we just work in layers. So alright, and this is the eye. It's the one spot I used black on this painting. They have funny pupils. They're like square, little rectangles, like goats. Alright, so now we're painting the background. So I did a wet on dry application here, so that means that my paper was dry and then I applied wet paint. There's another way to do it. It's called wet on wet. So you would wet the paper first and then you would apply the wet paint. So wet on wet. And that actually probably would have worked a little bit better for this type of background I'm going for, because it needs to be smooth or a gradient. I mean, it worked out okay, but I'll go over that in another painting, the different techniques, because I could have just painted the whole background wet where I wanted the background and just applied paint afterwards, and it would have just gone where I'd gotten it wet. Alright, so I added some yellow here to add some dimension to this color. It took away some of my spots, so I'm going to reapply them here in a little bit. I'm adding darker layers here. Just layers and layers and layers. I actually could have made the background layers even more layers on the background and made it darker, but that would require letting the paint dry and to make a longer video, so I didn't. But and then I got that top tentacle. I did a thin layer of paint over it because he was in the background and farther back in the water, so and painting underwater with watercolor is kind of fun because it's the right texture and everything because it's water, so it works out pretty well. Alright, and then the tentacles is the part we need to be careful about because they're white. I mean the suction cups on the tentacles, so be careful not to get paint in it because it's hard. It would be very difficult to get off. I mean, I've used wet paint brushes as erasers and stuff before, but better just to not get it on there anyway. Alright. Just adding more detail. From what I could tell on the painting, the suction cups had a dark ring around them, so that's what I was adding, and then some more shading and darker color to make him a more vibrant octopus. And then those dots I said I would redo. So, here's our octopus, and I hope you guys enjoy.